Hello, everyone, and welcome to another beautiful day right here. It's a delight to have you join us on Global Morning today, the weekend edition for that matter. Every weekend comes with something very special, and we will be sharing a part of that specialty with you this morning. My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo, and of course, I'm on the Global Morning Weekend today with my colleague. There's a name I used to call him, but then I think I will need to take permission before I address him like that on air because it's a royal address. Mukhtar Kasim is right here with me.
Good morning, Mr. Ramsey, and it's a special weekend, like you said, special for many reasons, of course. Yes. It's going to be a great day, hopefully. Thank you very much. You can call me that name if you want to. Any permission. But yes, it's been a very eventful past 24 hours and more of that, yes. And more eventful weekend, and we're going to be covering every bit of it basically.
Yeah, I think something is changing. They used to say weekend is for parties, it's for the whole body celebration, I don't know how, the sooner,
yes,
the sooners, and
but now it's become something like
it's changing, probably because of the economic situation, I may say, but then some of these celebrations are necessities. But then the way people celebrate these days, it's not like before, when people throw things everywhere you go. There are people that back in the days, weekends like this, they move from one event to the other. That's how they have their lunch.
Yes.
That's how they have their lunch. Apart from having fun, they have fun, and you see some persons scampering seriously for food when it's time for food. You see some persons like, oh no, this person doesn't get this food, and some persons will want to attend events because they have a new clothes to show off with, especially our I didn't call them, especially our beloved. That gender is so special and unique when it comes to appearance. You guys should not come for me. I'm saying the truth.
Honestly, times have changed, and the economic situation has necessitated people to not be able to have those luxuries you spoke about, and it is our hope that it changes for the better, and we return to those glory days where we see people living because weekends now have actually become almost inseparable from all, and you can't distinguish the weekend from the weekdays. 24 hours people are hustling every single day of the week.
Yeah, people need to hustle because in this time and season, if you don't hustle, it's like you're on your own. Just that, some persons are smiling, others are groaning because of the economic situation.
True.
Like when we're talking about the fact that there was a fluctuation in our naira was falling.
Yes.
Some people were celebrating because these are people that trade in dollars. They hire the dollar, they bet better it is for them. But for other Nigerians, they hire the dollar, the worst because prices of commodities, services will skyrocket to whatever level depending on the discretion of whoever is indulging in that business because they have got the money and the yam. But then I think glory days are about to come. I'm praying. I'm just trying to exercise my faith that very soon glory days will come. And as a matter of fact, do you know that yesterday someone came on my program and he was complaining that, hey, everywhere was blocked. In fact, you can't even drive.
Yes.
You have to trek, especially at the city centers. And he was suggesting that, hey, if these people want to do their convention, if they want to do their meetings, whatever they want to do, like the APC convention, it's not everybody that's APC, but if it's APC, is the ruling party. And the Eagle Square is one of the biggest ceremonial square in the country. So they want to do their things right there. But then, what about people, commuters, people who have to go to their workplaces, go to one or two businesses? For yesterday, some persons may be dependent on the income of yesterday to even feed.
Honestly.
But what will happen to people like that when everywhere is being built? And they couldn't get to their business places, or maybe get there late. The person they had an appointment with got angry and left. So many things. So I think don't you think we are supposed to take certain things into cognizance before decisions are being made? But Abuja, for instance, you know, Abuja is not like Lagos, where you have different routes. If you miss your way in Abuja, you're on the find yourself in a different place.
You rightly pointed out the fact, and that is the sentiments that a vast majority of the people have been echoing, that why do we have to have a standstill because of a particular party convention? Of course, they're the ruling party, they're in power and all of that, but the people also should be considered, because if people are stranded because of this, some people, like you said, their daily bread was halted. Some of them had emergencies that they could not meet up to. It's fine to have a convention, but also take into cognizance how it can be convenient for yourself and for the generality of the populace, basically.
That's true. Well, we'll be looking at all of that. I think we will talk more about the convention, because we're going to have an analyst join us as we look at the national dailies, the newspapers. What are the papers saying this morning? We'll look at all of that for you, and we'll have Ubong Usoro join us for the newspaper analysis this morning. We'll take a quick break. After this break, we'll return with the headlines.
You don't access the papers. Ubongo. Where this sitting in the middle, or here, or where?
Let him hear the meeting.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events,
as in,
real
if they read this paper and they were talking about the convention. No. It's the same thing now.
To debate every topic, every angle. Global Morning is where
We're not getting the point. Have you seen the papers today? All of the papers,
Yes.
all of them are dominated by this convention. Maybe I can show you. All of them.
It's what is the convention? We are going to concentrate on the convention, but then the conversation on this now. We are not running away from the segment.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
In an age of breaking news, you need a trusted source that prioritizes accurate, factual, and unbiased reporting. This is AM News, and I am Ubong Usoro.
On Global Television, our news is rooted in verified and authoritative storytelling that keeps you educated, informed, and enlightened on all the issues that matter to you. I am Sadia Yakubu. This is Midday News.
You can trust our multi-platform news broadcast real-time and fast-check stories for all the big local and foreign headlines round the clock. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. This is News Express.
Our array of anchors delivers the news to our teeming viewers, breaking it down with context and perspective. This is News Cycle on Global Television. I am Anieti Patrick.
And the flagship news is your hub for the day's most engaging stories. This is News Prime, and I am Jumai Manson.
Did you miss any of our news rounds? No worries. Catch up at 10 p.m. and midnight, 7 days of the week. I am Mukhtar Kasim.
Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. We're active across all social media platforms at Global TV NG.
Global TV News, accurate and unbiased. I'm Uyi Agmofwebe.
Welcome back, everyone. Yes, it is time for us to look at the major headlines today, and coincidentally, the papers have what we want to talk about today, which is the APC convention that happened yesterday, from yesterday's stroke this morning. One of our correspondent was on ground from the beginning to the end, and of course, we'll begin from the major headlines, which has to do with the APC convention. So for this segment, we're going to talk about the APC convention. I have this headline on this day newspaper, which is going to be our focus for this morning. The first one say APC convention, party politics and Nigeria's democracy. Then the big story has it that APC convention, Tinubu preaches unity, fires at opposition, showcases reform gains. You know, Ubom, a lot of people, I'll tell you the truth, a lot of people have different perception as far as APC is concerned. Even during the convention yesterday, from the beginning, from the accreditation of the media, a lot of people were already saying so many things because of the process. All right, the tedious nature of the process. Then we are hearing the president, all right, showcasing reform gains. If you ask one or two persons, one of the things that some people can even remember about APC, as far as this administration is concerned, is the removal of subsidy, you know, the Naira thing, Naira floating and all of that. People will tell you this administration is characterized with hunger. You were at that convention yesterday. How do you see the president's, all right, his speech at the convention preaching unity? And of course, when you're preaching unity, you would also want to chip in one or two things. I don't want to call it campaign, but then reform, the gains from the reform. Are you in tandem with what the president said?
Yeah, I think that this convention was very, very instructive, and it was very different from other conventions that we've seen over the years, because the APC really planned to use the convention as an avenue to highlight some of the gains that they've made. There were presentations by some of the major agencies that the government feels have done well, or departments, and the REA had a presentation, Rural Electrification Agency of Nigeria. That is one of the agencies that people have said have really done well, with more than covering underserved communities. Sorry, my voice is a bit down. And they've done more than 30. They've done more than 30 square kilometers, 30 square. I've forgotten the measurements now, but in terms of millions of coverage of underserved communities, we've seen the REA done that, the Rural Electrification Agency. And yesterday there was a presentation by the MD, CEO of the Rural Electrification Agency. There was a presentation by Neil Fund Boss. There was a presentation by one of the other agencies that I'm going to remember very soon. So you see, it was CMEN. CMEN is a small, medium scale enterprises development agency of Nigeria. There was a presentation by them, and not just presentation, there were presentations with visuals, there were presentations with witnesses. People came out to testify. The president was there seated, who came out to testify that I've been able to access these grants from CMEN to do my business. I'm a student. I am paying my school fees as a result of NEL Fund. People came out to say, yes, my community is now covered, now have electricity. We didn't have electricity for 30 years, 20 years. We now have electricity as a result of REA, that's the Rural Electrification Agency. So it was intentional to highlight some of the things that they've done physically, with videos, visuals, and also with individual testimonies, and the president alluded to that. And I think one of the things that was also very significant was that when the president was speaking, I've heard Tinubu speak for a number of times. I've never seen him being attacking before, but this time the president came all out. He was he spoke to the opposition and he gave them. He wasn't speaking from a place of
the paper say fire.
Yes, he did.
Fire. So he really fired.
Yes, he did. He said.
But say he did.
Yes, he did. I was there now. I listened to him. The president said he's still cleaning up the mess that the PDP and opposition had put Nigeria into. Whether that is true or false,
exactly, because analysts would have asked that his party was in the power for the last 8 years before he came to the particular office. 10 years, basically.
Exactly, was 16. But whether that is true or false is left for you. But he came out for the first time. The president doesn't really, he's not in his character to, highlight some of those things. But he said yesterday that we are where we are today because the opposition failed to take decisions, and the decision had to get to where we are, and he had to take the decision, being the man to take the difficult decision which they failed to do. So I saw it also as the president understanding that there seemed to be a gathering of opposition now, because we are hearing Akwankwaso may also be going into the opposition, and a few other persons may be going. So he is now ready to face them and tell them, if you get to the opposition, because most of the persons leading the opposition now had opportunity to fix Nigeria, in the words of president, and they didn't fix Nigeria. So what are they going to do different? We are where we are because they failed to take the decisions they would have taken. Former Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, maybe those are people who will be directing the message to. People like Nasir El-Rufai was a FCT minister. You had opposition, so he was very uncharacteristic, and he also called for unity. Talk about the party. The party has been very organized. They did their e-registration even before INEC came. They finished their zonal ward and congresses, and for a party like the APC to settle on consensus, it means that a lot of respect are given to party leaders, because these are persons who've done 4 years and they are going back for another 4 years. Party executive, apart from the chairman that was there for 7 months or so, it shows there are major heavyweights in the APC that would have wanted position, but they all agreed on some consensus. Even the appeal committee have not had appeal yet, because they were appeal committee for zones that feel the consensus candidates are not okay. We've not seen appeal yet. Yesterday I was speaking to some party members and they said the appeal committee. So it shows you some level of respect that they give to the party. And I think we've never seen like this in Nigeria.
But Ubong, that convention yesterday, the convention was supposed to extend into today.
It was,
but because of the consensus, and so it was a little, should I say, seamless for the ruling party yesterday. But what is the take home from that convention? Because the crowd was massive. Is it because it's a ruling party or because the party have an ideology? Remember what the president said yesterday. He said the ruling party is ready for the future. He said, and the president also charges members not to relent in attracting more governors, legislatures to the party. Who is remaining?
Well, he said, yesterday we heard Godswill Akpabio while speaking. He said even if the APC has 36 over 36, so because 2 years ago
it's not going to be one party system.
2 years ago they had 18, right? And nobody's forcing them. The governors are seeing the work of the president, and they are coming into the party. I feel one of the things that the president also spoke about was that, which I was in tune with, was that the APC is not just a vehicle for winning elections, right? And for me that was very instructive, whether he means it or not, but the information was very instructive. So a political party could understand that they have a role to play in stabilizing Nigeria's economy. And he said that the tax before the APC is a tax that posterity will hold them to account, whatever they do at this moment, because whether we like it or not, 50 years down the line, people will look at this moment where the APC were in power. They already have 10 years. God accepting or whatever happens, fate coming into a position with them, they may extend to having maybe 12 years and head on to having 14 years, right? Or 16 like the PDP. So that's very instructive. The president was saying, we have a tax as APC and we must be conscious of this because posterity will hold us into account. For me, I think that was also very instructive, telling their party members that it's not just about winning election. And we saw that people stepped down. For instance, let me talk about my friend Dayo Israel, the youth leader. When he, before this election, the last convention that produced national leaders of the party, it was through voting. it wasn't easy, right? There were rancors, there were fights, it was very, I remember more than a lot of headlines on, a lot of persons wanted to be national youth leader. There was a lot of issues concerning that position. And when I was interviewing him the other day at Transcorp after the screening, I told him, he said he was even very happy because he knew how he fought in his first coming to get to that position. But now through consensus, everybody sat down and agreed, right? And you look at the level of people. So this is Jandor, coming in, Afis, coming into the convention arena. So a lot of prominent Nigerians were there. Anyim Pius Anyim, was also very instructive to our party, the party, and how the party was able to do the things they do. So for me, I feel that was very instructive, and the president being always being the president that he is, right, and always doing the things that he is done over the years.
So looking forward to 2027,
yes,
what this convention has told us is APC seems to be a united front. Is that the reality, or that's just a facade that we see? And of course, with the fact that the PDP is also a house in this area, what does it tell us ahead of 2027?
Ahead of 2027, I think that the APC, as a big political party, having diverse, various interests, politicians have their own interests, have been able to, at the barest of minimum, minimize conflicts. And that is good for our democracy. Because if the APC is in crisis, Nigeria is in one way or the other crisis.
Because that's the ruling party.
That's the ruling party. And that's a party that there's no village you don't have an APC member. You may not like them, but there's no village in Nigeria. There's no ward you don't have an APC member. So if there are crises in all the wards in Nigeria, it affects Nigeria, right? So just like the PDP. So I feel that the APC has set the path, that it is ready. We saw Professor Natawe Yawata re-elected as national chairman.
Yes, exactly what I wanted to say. Almost everyone is returning. Almost everyone.
Maybe like more or less of.
So don't you think probably there could be one or two persons that may not be satisfied with that arrangement? People who really want to contest in the ruling party, or you feel that consensus with the mouth is also the same thing with what it's in their hearts?
No, the party was not. Let me lead us through the consensus how it came about. Remember, we had world congresses, the APC.
Yes.
They had state congresses.
Yes.
They had zonal congresses. So what the party did was that to sit down in its wisdom and zone all positions to different zones. For instance, my zone, Akwa Ibom, is put into Akwa Ibom Cross River. So the two states are being put into one zone, Akwa Ibom and Cross River. And positions that were zoned to us is the Deputy National Treasurer of the party, zoned to Akwa Ibom and Cross River. Deputy National Financial Secretary, zoned to Akwa Ibom and Cross River. So the two states will now sit down and decide who goes and what. So Cross River took Deputy National Treasurer of the party, which is now Ben Aka. So what happened was that when they had their state congresses, the party had to sit down and decide on one person. So it was at the various so who any name you see pop up at the national is a name that has already been brought out by its zone, right? So it wasn't an imposition.
But that's a smart one by APC. Someone say APC is not relaxing.
No.
The registration from the e-registration, the city boys, even though they are the ruling party, they seems not to be relaxing. Right, imagine that statement that every other person can come into the APC.
Right. I think the APC is behaving like an opposition party, and opposition parties are behaving like the ruling party. Yes, they are behaving like the ruling party.
Why would you say that?
Because the APC started e-registration last year.
So quite
not
early.
Just this year.
Quite early, honestly.
They are proactive.
So that's
look at the different movements. You now have City Boys movement already going into the interlands, trying to win people to support Asiwaju come 2027.
So positions are following. When APC came with the City Boys, they came with Village Boys. So they are following.
Do you have to wait for APC to think ahead of you? When you are opposition, when you should be the one on the you should be the one interacting more.
Because you are in the opposition.
Yes. So APC can laud and say, oh, we have 31 governors, but they are not resting, right? So why should the opposition be resting? So for me, I feel that was one of the things that we saw yesterday.
Now, speaking about opposition, because this is what critics have been saying, that with what we are seeing now, it's like Mr. Ramsey said that earlier, that we are nosediving into a one-party system because the APC seems to have hegemony over all of the zones. How would you see that concern vis-a-vis with the things you noticed from the convention yesterday?
Yeah, I think that was also spoken to. I can't really place my hand on who spoke about it, but one of the party officials spoke about it, the one party system rumor, because it's been going around. And trust me, even the president has said that. There was a time the president said, is he the one to go and arrange the opposition for them, right? So, and what he mentioned was that there was a time in this country, PDP had 28 governors. And it was not one party system. Even if APC should have 36 governors, it's not going to be one party system because there will be opposition. Their opposition will still be there whether they are in power or not. They work up.
Is it about having opposition or having a formidable opposition? Because it's one thing to have an opposition that might be a rubber stamp or a mere imagery, but how strong is it going to be to hold government to account? Because that's one of the essence of having an opposition, is to keep the ruling party on its toes.
And that's the work of the opposition. It's not the work of the opposition.
Of course,
the ruling party to now say, opposition, you put your place in order. No.
It's for them to get
the work of the opposition. And opposition, we have our experienced politicians. They understand what it means to be in power. They understand what it means to take power. Some of the persons that helped install APC now are in opposition. The first national chairman of the APC is in APC, John Oyegun. Right. So these are people that they understand the politics of opposition. So the opposition should buckle up. The opposition should come together. The APC needed a major to be the APC they are today. If the PDP can come to a major with the ADC and the Labour Party, it will give them more fire. So if they want to run this race the way they are, with the caliber of crowd we saw yesterday, there were more persons outside of Eagle Square
than even inside.
Yes, that's exactly what I was saying. You know, I was watching some videos. You know, you sent some clip yesterday from the ground. I was watching some videos, and of course, the crowd, even deep into
from
the
Kanu alone.
I saw Kanu line their vehicles.
Wow. Kanu turned up.
As it is right now, okay, the convention has happened. All right. What are we expecting going forward? Because some persons have suspected there could be implosion in APC. But this convention, what message has this convention passed? All right, passed to Nigerians as far as the APC's readiness for 2027 is concerned? You were just talking about the turnout.
Right. I think that the issue of implosion, like they've talked about it, the APC too is also mindful. But I think the implosion may likely come, if it should happen, after the presidency of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Give it to Tinubu. He's somebody that he is loved. The same way that Buhari was the central figure around the party, Tinubu has that level of love that whether it is induced or not, he has that support around the party. So, but the question will be, after Tinubu, will the APC survive post Tinubu? That's where we may have disintegration. But for now, the party is still very firmly behind Jagaban. You could see Shettima. This is the first time I've seen him wearing that Tinubu's signature cap. And the cap has been, that signature.
The broken chain.
Yes, the chain has become a signature all around the world. People are wearing it. And so the president has, like he said, his wife asked him before he came off the pitch and said, we've seen men, the motion for the dissolution of the national executive of the executives of the party was moved by a man, so seconded by a man. Godswill Akpabio moved a motion, Senate President seconded by Barra Jibril. What happens to women? And the president said he has already promised his wife that going forward he's going to have more women in his cabinet and more women work with him. So
it's interesting you mentioned women, because the next question I was going to ask you was about inclusiveness of the disadvantaged communities, the women and the people with disabilities. How was the process for them? Were they included in the process?
They were. They are part. It's part of the party's constitution. There is leader. The same way we have beauty leader, we have women leader of the party. We have leader of people living with disabilities. As a member of the National executive committee of the party, and you know the NEC is a very powerful organ of the party.
It is.
The NEC is the NEC is powerful. The board of trustees of the party is powerful. The national working committee is also party. So these three organs are the organs that can move the party.
So are you saying we're likely to see more of these communities of women and people with disability holding offices ahead of 2027?
Are things that we need to keep talking to our people about. But statutorily, you cannot form a national executive committee of a party without having, because it is in the constitution. So it's a constitutional right that must be met right before that committee is formed. And they did. The INEC was there to monitor the convention yesterday. Some people say it is just a formality. Even for me, I feel it's just a formality to meet INEC's guideline, because the same persons will return. So why not just announce them? But you have to still go through the process.
It's good.
I think because their zones also throughout.
Yes, I think it's good that the ruling party is not taking chances as it starts to do with the rules of.
Because one thing again that happens is litigation. You see that people go to meet the court and say the process was faulty.
Even though some people are still saying the judiciary is still under the, all these allegations and all of that. Yes. Well, I think this is going to be the size of the conversation and the analysis from the convention. More will still be unfolding. We're going to have some reports coming to you as far as the convention is concerned. So all you have to do is to just keep tab on Global Television, showing on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276 in case you're watching us for the first time. Thank you very much, Ubong Usoro. That's a good job that you've done there. I saw you right there. Well, I wanted to ask you about Jandor because this is the first time. This is the first time he's attending an APC convention since he defected to the All Progressive Congress. Are you seeing the lights at the end of the tunnel for Jandor?
Very likely. Jandor has been my friend for some years now. I've known him for more than 6 years.
See the hug. Everybody is like, oh, guy, you are welcome. You just waste time.
6 years. And it looks like he will be going to Senate or maybe the next governor of Lagos. But whatever comes, right, he's... let me not say too much.
Let the process.
But he's somebody that has always been very close to Tinubu. In fact, Tinubu calls him my son because he's one of the young men in Lagos that was raised by Tinubu. Seeing his enterprise, his foresight, and Tinubu likes to identify talent. Very sadly, that Jandor had to go to PDP in the last election because he felt the party did not give him the ticket and he was popular enough, right? And that's one of the things that come with when you feel you're popular. And he just left the party, went and run with Funke Akindele. Sadly, he wasn't able to win there. And he sat down, looked at it and said, why not go back home as a political son? He went back, and for Mr. President, when he came back, Mr. President gave him an heroic welcome. The President himself went to welcome him back to the APC. So I feel that Tinubu knows how to play the politics.
He does.
Maybe we'll compensate him with a senatorial seat.
Sure. Well, 2027. I'm just sure.
Backstage, I could tell you some of the discussions we have, but.
I know you discussed with him yesterday. I just saw the video. You were more like the person who was assigned to him as a media aide from Lagos.
I work from Lagos. I don't know what else you're talking about.
All right, thank you very much, Ubong. This is a fruitful and very wonderful session. Well, this is the size of the analysis for you today as far as the convention is concerned, which is on all the papers that we have today. So we just need to do a conclusive analysis of the convention, which is on all the papers. Well, let's take a quick break. After this time, we'll go into the first conversation for you today. But from time to time, we'll still be chipping in one or two things as far as developments from the convention is concerned, including our news bulletins for today.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
At Witchtech Cables, we don't just make cables, we deliver excellence. Our products are built with advanced technology, trusted for their unmatched quality and durability. With a wide range of cables, swift delivery, and continuous innovation, we stay ahead of the market demand. We are proudly Nigerian, fully indigenous, yet world-class. Backed by a professional team, strong technical support, and a deep commitment to customer satisfaction, Witchtech Cables is more than a brand, it's a promise. Witchtech Cables, quality cables better than the best.
Our language, our vibrant culture and colorful tradition, our industrious and hospitable people. This is Nigeria, a nation that prides itself in abundant human and natural resources. From east to west, north to south, we sparkle, we shine, we have a common bond. Fellow Nigerians, let's do away with ethnic, religious and regional sentiments that divide us as a people. God has blessed us and empowered us to find strength in diversity. Let's make our faith and way of worship our source of unity as we build a nation that stays united. Nigeria, together today, together always. This is a public announcement brought to you by Global Television.
Yes, everyone, it's good to have all of you right there. It is still Global Morning Weekend. Well, we just finished talking about the APC convention that happened yesterday. But then, the president was talking yesterday, and he was talking about how his reforms are working. But then, there are some key sectors that we also need to look at. Recently, the president was in the United Kingdom, and we heard about every of the deal, the ones that had to do with the port and all of that. But then, have you thought about making our port, all right, to be up to standard with what we have internationally, the benefit? What level are we when it has to do with the modernization of our port? If these ports are being modernized, does it have impact on the economy? Because what every average Nigerian will want to talk about is improvement in our economy that will transcend to every part of Nigeria, including the local governments, the councils, where Nigerians can feel positive impact of this modernization of our ports. A lot of countries make money from the port. So today, we want to look at the blue economy, and our concentration is on the impact of port modernization on Nigeria's economy. And I have a maritime expert join us. He's a captain and, of course, the CEO of Caleb Danladi Foundation as we talk about this issue. Now, the convention has heard. What is next come 2027? And of course, the port, the major commercial activities in Nigeria, how is it going to be faring from now until 2027? So I have Captain Caleb Danladi joining us on the conversation this morning. It's good to have you join us on the conversation.
Thank you very much for having me. Very good morning to you.
Yes, where do we get started from? Of course, what do you think about the economy generally before we begin to talk about the modernization of our port and how it's going to impact the economy? Where are we as far as the economy of this nation is concerned?
Okay, thank you very much for these important questions. So there has been a lot of reforms to be able to address the economic situation of the country. And when you have a reform, it takes a while for you to get that result to major impact. It's not just recent. We have seen a lot of engagement that the president has been making when it comes to the economic situation of the country. When you also look at the recent global crisis that have to do with the Iran-Israel war, and you can see one of the reform sector that has to do with the petroleum deregulation of downstream sector, with the Dangote refinery today on stream. We are not suffering from this issue of lack of fuel supply in the country, which is very important. If you look at other countries, there has been issues of inadequate fuel supply because the Strait of Hormuz has been closed to shipping traffic. As you are aware, the Strait of Hormuz accommodates more than 20% of the global oil and gas. So with this tension between the Israel and the US and Iran, it's caused a lot of challenges when it comes to supply of oil. But in Nigeria today, the only thing that we just see the increase in fuel price, which is a global shock as a result of the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. And we have also seen the president has been engaged in a lot of diplomatic engagement, a lot of reforms. He has been to different countries, signing one agreement to the other to be able to improve the country. So I strongly believe that we are in the right path and we are in the right direction. And the recent data that have been released, it shows that the inflation has reduced. So that's on the average, even though I'm not an economist, it's a general trend that's going on now. So,
all right, let's look at the port. Because one of the biggest commercial hub, as far as I'm concerned, is the port. A lot happened there. All right. What is the state of our port in Nigeria right now? Because we need to know the state of the port before we even start talking about, well,
modernization and impact on the economy, as a matter of fact?
Okay, so before I go into the port, in every organization and every institute, there are challenges.
Okay.
All right? There are challenges in every organization. That is not limited to port alone. It's limited to even the aviation sector and whatever sector you are, even in the media sector today. So, but I'll dive into port. When it comes to ports are the gateway to nation's economy. So they are the cash cow. More than 90% of the trade that comes in and out of Nigeria is via the port system. So port have a very crucial role. And then if you look, we have challenges in the port. And those challenges have to do with the aging of the quays. Some of the ports were built as far as 1913, some 1977. So there has been issue of aging, and when an infrastructure is aged, we tend to look at to handle the volume of cargo, it takes time. What it translated is simply means that the average waiting time of the ships will increase and the cargo dwell time will increase. However, in the past, there has been significant efforts when you look at the pre-port concession. So I'll take you back. Before the port concessions of the port reforms of 2003, there has been challenges which have to do with the long dwell time of cargo, long waiting time. Sometimes ships have to wait for months and for weeks to load and discharge cargo. There has also been the issue of multiplicity of government agencies in the port, whereas you have duplication of roles that have been causing a lot of administrative bottleneck. And at that time, Nigerian ports were one of the most expensive ports in West Africa. So in 2003, there was a study that was carried out through the federal government by the Royal Haskoning Studies. So that study now, they recommended the port reforms and port concessions because the ports then were fully owned and managed by the government. So they adopted what we call the landlord port administration model, where the government oversees and we have the private terminal operators, which are the concessionaires that manage most of the ports. But after that, we have seen improvement. We see improvement when it comes to increase in cargo throughput, investment in infrastructure by most of these terminal operators, which has resulted in improved efficiency. So, but over time, we have also seen that most of the cargo handling equipment, it's not like they are not efficient, but some of them are getting obsolete, some of them are getting old. You can see the evidence from the congestion leading to Apapa Port. However, significant effort has also been made by the government. If you look at this administration, what have they done? This is the first time we're having a dedicated ministry, which is called the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy. And this ministry is dedicated solely for the maritime activities, unlike in the past, where you have the Ministry of Transport and the port is under the Ministry of Transport. And now you have the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy. And they have a 10-year roadmap, which was developed and approved by the Federal Executive Council to address most of the challenges of the blue economy and to also harness into the potential of the blue economy. If you look at the country today, we have a coastline of over 853 kilometers. And also we have over 10,000 kilometers of navigable waters, inland waterways. So if we are able to harness into this potential, there's a huge resources there. So the federal government deem it fit, this administration deem it fit that, okay, we need to harness into this potential. So we have now the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy. We have the National Policy of Marine and Blue Economy, which is a 10-year roadmap, which is very important. And one of the significant effort that has been made is to be able to address the issue of port digitalization. There have been challenges that has to do with digitalization, like I mentioned earlier, multiplicity of agencies in port. So now the maritime single window system is going to address most of those challenges, whereas the shipper, the agent, and they will submit document in a single platform and everybody will access. So you are not supposed to take this document from one table to the other, from one agency to the other. So what does that mean? It means it's going to improve efficiency. So above all, there has been challenges, like I mentioned, aging of the equipment, multiplicity of government agencies, slow adoption of digitalization, which the maritime single window system is also going to address. And most of these challenges are the ones that yield the issue of congestion you see in and out of port, because congestion alone is not a challenge, but is an outcome of a challenge. If cargoes are not being cleared in time, what happens? The trucks will keep lining up, so that is why you have such congestion. So those are some of the issues, and I strongly believe that the government are doing more to address most of these challenges.
Yes, that's the question I wanted to ask, because the problem known, they said, is half solved. Well, the APC had their convention yesterday, and of course, the president was so proud of the reforms. I'm glad that you're talking about the fact that the marine economy, they now have their own ministry, all right, and it's a welcome development. Now, we've looked at the challenges. Are there opportunities? What are the things that the government is supposed to be looking at and say, oh, there are opportunities in the port, at the port there are opportunities. These are what we need to do to harness these opportunities. Are there opportunities?
Okay, before I go into the opportunities, you can see since this administration came on board, they have done a lot. I've mentioned about the creation of the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy. And last year, Nigeria was elected into the IMO Category C, which is huge. You know, it simply means that we have a voice when it comes to maritime cooperation.
What necessitated that? Is it the government or the...
It's the government efforts.
Okay, the government's
effort. And also, if you look at the maritime security architecture in the Gulf of Guinea, in the past 4 years, we have not recorded a single piracy issue. That's a huge step. It simply means a lot of reforms have been done, and there has been a lot of diplomatic engagement prior to Nigeria being elected in the IMO Category C, which is very important. Now we have a seat in the International Maritime Organization, and our voice will be heard. This is part of the reforms also ongoing now. Now, recently, last 2 weeks, our president visited the United Kingdom, and there was a deal about the £746 million to upgrade the infrastructure in our port, which is huge. For me, this goes more beyond the diplomatic engagement. It's a huge economic milestone for us as a country when it comes to port modernization, because we are going to achieve a lot. It's going to create a lot of opportunities when it comes to employment, economic development, economic growth. It's also going to induce other sectors like the manufacturing sector, the agricultural sector, and it's going to drastically reduce unemployment issues that we've been having. So I strongly believe that with all this reform, with the efforts that the president is being put, I believe that we are going to be a global hub when it comes to the country. Before then, there has been effort also to modernize our ports to the state-of-the-art ports. I've also mentioned about the maritime single window system that will soon be launched. So I think a lot has been done, and the government has done so much. So we also have to appreciate the effort, and I strongly believe that we are going to yield all these reforms sooner or later.
You know, while you were talking about the deal between Nigeria and the United Kingdom just now, you know, some persons were not so comfortable with that, because, you know, there is this perception that Nigerians have when it comes to deal like this. They think of, well, these people just want to come and rip us. The government is just taking loan, entering deals and all of that. You know, and one other very important thing that we must talk about is the implementation. You know, most times we've heard money's being taken and all of that. With what they tell Nigerians is, this is what we are going to do. But at the end of the day, you see those things not being done. As it is right now, I know you're not part of the government, as a matter of fact, but as an expert, what would be your proposal? How do you want these things to be done? Because there are key areas. If you want to talk about modernizing, all right, our port, there are key areas that you may feel, okay, first of all, this is the area to be dealt with so that we can have this. This is the area that we need to deal with so that we can be of international standard and all of that. So what do you think? What's your proposition?
Okay, when it comes to this 746 million pounds agreement for port modernization, I strongly believe that it's going to go a long way. And I believe that we have the people who are capable of implementing, because this is the first time in decades that we have had this opportunity to modernize and upgrade our port. So we should not have any negative impact. But the most important thing is, once this is done right, it's going to create a lot of opportunities in the future. Other countries have similar initiatives. If you go to China today, there's a Road and Belt initiative for port development, the Dubai, the DP World initiative. So it's huge. The potential is huge. What I see, I strongly believe that this port modernization is going to uplift Nigerian status when it comes to a global maritime hub. And I'll take you back now. If this port modernization is going to reduce unemployment in 3 different ways.
Okay.
First, there's direct, there's indirect, and there's induced impact. So in the short run, it's going to employ people when it comes to logistics, engineering, those that will be working in the ports. You have people in engineering, electrical, mechanical that will be working in those ports. So it's going to create a short-term employment. Now, in the long time, it's going to induce, if the ports are modernized, you have the agricultural sector, the manufacturing sectors that rely on just-in-time materials. It's going to induce those sectors, because those sectors mostly they rely on import and export for their production and also exporting their finishing goods. So it's going to induce those sectors, and those sectors are going to employ people. Now, the third one, I talk about the induced impact. When the port activities are booming, what happens? A truck driver in Jos or in Aba is going to get employed, because he's going to move containers from Lagos to Aba or containers to Kaduna. That is an induced impact. Now let's look at the real estate. We are talking about port cities. Because the port is being modernized, there will be a lot of people migrating to those cities. What happened? They are going to contribute to the economic development of those cities. And then the real estate business in those cities is going to expand. And the real estate business, they are going to employ people that will be engaged in construction. Why? It's because of the port modernization. That is an induced impact. Now, when we talk of ports, ships are coming in and out of ports. Most of those ships need stores, they need spares, they need bunkers to run their engines. And then what happened? The ship chandlers, the small SMEs, they are going to get employment by being able to supply stores in and out to those ships, which is very important. So if you look at the 746 million deals, it's huge when it comes to reducing the unemployment challenges we're having. Now, let's look at the economic development. Now, those workers that are being worked in the port, they are being paid salary, right? And they spend those salary and they contribute to the economic development of the country. Now, when the ship comes in and out of port, they pay port charges, they pay custom clearance, custom duty. It's going to generate revenue, right? Now, the port now is going to become a regional hub. Why do I mean a regional hub? Goods and services that are being born for Burkina Faso, Niger Republic, the landlocked countries, will be coming through Nigerian ports. And then we'll move it. So it's going to be a hub for West Africa. Now, with the global tension in the Middle East, there has been a lot of changes in the trading pattern, where ships have to reroute now via the Cape of Good Hope. What does it mean? Nigeria is strategically located in a very good maritime route, which is the Atlantic route, which is strategically located. Those ships that are rerouting, what does it mean? It means that their transit time is going to increase. They have to stop on the way to get stores and bunkers. So Nigeria now will become a hub, a regional hub.
So they can actually stop over to do what
they have to take bunkers, to take fuel, because bunker is a fuel they bomb. So they have to stop over to refuel. It means that somebody who is supplying bunkers in Nigeria is getting also employment opportunity, because he has people that he employed. So they are also is generating revenue also for the government, which is important. So for me, it's going to go a long way when it comes to economic development. Now, port modernization is going to induce the connectivity, because modernization of port alone is not enough. You must have the infrastructure to be able to move these goods from ports to the final consumer. So it's going to induce the construction of rail, because we will have a rail line linking the ports maybe to the dry port or to the final consumer. We are going to also modernize our roads, which I strongly believe is among the initiatives for this £746 million deals, which is important. Then now you look at the agricultural industry. Nigeria is an agricultural export-oriented country. We have a lot of goods that we'll be able to export. So by modernizing our port, we are going to expand our export. And with this £746 billion deal, what does it mean? It sent a signal to other investors that people have confidence, other countries have confidence in us at Nigeria. So we'll have more investors coming to invest. It's going to attract a lot of FIDs. FDI is foreign direct investment in the country. Now, let's also have a look on the knowledge and skill transfer when it comes to ITC. Through port modernization, we are going to train people on the modern way of port operations. It means that we are transferring these skills to local content, and we don't have to rely on foreign skills for our operation. So it's huge. The potential there is huge.
I actually wanted to ask about that, but now you're talking about it. That is the issue of manpower. You know, manpower is very important. You've talked about the advantage and all of that. But then to have people who can carry out these activities, because these are different activities, do you think Nigerians will be capable of doing all of this, or there is need for expatriate? Because most times, if we want to talk about developments in Africa, most things that even if we have people that can do it here, there is this belief that an expatriate or maybe a white person will do it better. What do you think of that perception as it has to do with port modernization in Nigeria?
For me, we are capable of doing it. Nigerians are capable, yes. Nigerians are capable. We are capable, and I strongly believe. The ports now, we still have modern cargo handling facilities in our ports. Who are the people operating it? They are also Nigerians. We have Nigerians operating advanced crane. Not even in Nigeria. If you go to other countries, you still find Nigeria in ports. They are working in those ports. So we have a lot of skilled Nigerians. So when it comes to operation of port facilities, we have extremely brilliant Nigerians when it comes to port management, when it comes to cargo agencies, when it comes to ship chandling. I don't think we have any problem, in my opinion.
Including sailors?
Well, we have, I'm a mariner, I'm a master mariner, I'm a Nigerian, and we have a lot of master mariners, we have a lot of seafarers. Not only seafarers, we have experienced and world-class seafarers. Nigerian seafarers are well experienced, they are world-class.
Where are they trained? Abroad?
We start from Maritime Academy of Nigeria, or then a lot we get our certificate of competencies abroad. And now we are also issuing certificate of competency in Nigeria.
Right now?
Yes. Nigeria is issuing certificate of competency. I've mentioned that we have been elected into IMO category C. That is a huge step. Our voice is being heard. When there's an amendment when it comes to Maritime Convention, Nigeria is sitting in that table.
But now, let's look at the timeline, all right, for the implementation of all of this. If you want to say, okay, at what point can you say, all right, this port is modernized already and there is going to be a lot of positive impact into the economy? At what point?
You know, port modernization is not something that just takes place in a day or 2 days or in a week. It's not like you are constructing a 3-story building or you are trying to build an estate. No, it takes time, right? It's in phases. You can finish this phase, commission this phase, and start working on this phase, yield impact, and it continues. It's something that will be ongoing. For me, I've not seen the implementation plan, but based on my knowledge and my experience, when it comes to port modernization, it's being done in phases. And while it's being done in phases, the port activities are picking up. And you'll begin to see the impact. You'll begin to see impact. For instance, now port modernization have to not only about infrastructure, it also have to do with dredging of the channels. What does that mean? It means that when you dredge channels, large ships will be able to come in and out of our ports, meaning that we are going to see increase in cargo throughput. If you look at the statistics that have been published by the Nigerian Port Authority this year, we have seen a surge in cargo throughput coming in and out of the country. And this is as a result of the reforms that have taken place between when President Tinubu came into government. So there have been a lot of reforms, like I told you, the National Policy on Marine and Blue Economy. You can see the increase in cargo throughput. It means something has been done. And now, with the maritime single window system, we have a lot of seamless operation. You know, it's going to reduce a lot of administrative bottlenecks, a lot of administrative hurdles. So digitalization is also part of port modernization. So port modernization doesn't also have to do only construction. It doesn't have to do with only dredging of channels, buying advanced cargo equipment. Digitalization also is a key factor when it comes to port modernization. Linking the port to the hinterland, that is constructing rail, is also part of port modernization. So when it comes to port modernization, you begin to yield some positive impact as soon as the modernization projects commence.
Let's you know, for me, whenever I talk, I look at the average Nigerians. You know, a lot of people, if you want to talk about, I want to work in an oil company, I want to work here, I want to work. It's like I'm feeling like Nigerians, the average Nigerians, don't have good orientation about what happened around the blue economy. So what's the level of orientation? How can people know that, yes, I can actually have a career here, I can actually do this here? Because that's one sector that a lot of people who have the foreknowledge, you know, are making a lot of money. But you see people write JAMB today. How many people are applying to the schools that will lead them there? Do they even know? Because, I want to go to APU, I want to go to Unilag, I want to go to Uniport. What are you going to study? Okay, I want to study law, I want to study medicine. But then the orientation, our people seem not to have that orientation, especially the average Nigerian. So can we have a little enlightenment as it has to do with finding a pathway, all right, in the blue economy as an average Nigerian? I know people, you know, today is Saturday, so people, secondary school, you know, adults, parents are listening right now, so that at least people can know, I can find a pathway here. If you tell some people now, you want to become a sailor or maybe an expert mariner or whatever, they will not even know, how do I get there? Is it not for Oyibo people and all of that? That's what I was even asking, if Nigerians are actually doing all of this. So how can we get the orientation? Give us a little orientation.
Okay, that's a very important question. And before I go into the orientation, it's very important for me to explain, we talk about ports now, how ports benefit the common man.
Okay.
Right? When it comes to inefficiency in ports, when a port is not efficient, what happens? It takes time to clear goods and services. The goods stays longer in ports. What happens? You pay demurrage, you pay extra port charges in ports. And what happened? These extra port charges are being translated into the final cost of goods and services that has an impact on the final consumer. Now, if our ports are being modernized, the average waiting time of a ship will reduce. The average cargo dwelling time of ships will reduce. What it means that the cost of logistics will also reduce, and it's going to translate into the final consumer, meaning that the cost of goods and services will also reduce. That's what I wanted to explain first when it comes to ports, so that every Nigerian will feel that.
Because you do know that majority of these business people, what they'll tell you is, Do you know the cost of bringing this thing from abroad? Clearing, cost of this, and people run away and they sell this thing very, very expensive to Nigerians.
So now let's talk about a career, which is very important, and I also want to encourage a lot of Nigerians, especially the young school leavers, to consider a seagoing career. So we have different sectors when it comes to blue economy. I will briefly talk about the shipping sector. That means the mariners. So for you to work on the ship, there are different departments. There's a deck department, there's an engine department, and there's also the catering department. The deck department, which are the navigators and the cargo handling, is being headed by the captain. You have the chief officer, the second officer, the third officer, and then you might have a trainee like cadets. They are more like the apprentice. And you have the deck ratings that support these officers in their day-to-day activities, which are the ABs, the bosuns.
Let me comment. Apprentice. I thought when you
like cadets.
Yes.
Just in a layman term.
Okay, but they must have
training officers.
Okay, they must have gone through a
the school. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just explaining.
Okay. I thought somebody can just apply and say, please, I want to.
I will take you back to that. Yeah.
Okay.
So now you have the engine department, which is being headed by the chief engineer. You have the second engineer. You have the third engineer, the fourth engineer, and also the trainee engineers. And you have the engine rating that the oilers that support the operations. You have also the catering department, which is more like the hotel servicing department. You might have a chief cook, second cook, and also the mess boys. Now, for you to be a deck officer or engineering officer, as a young school leaver, normally the requirement, you have 5 credits, including English and Maths. Then you apply to either Maritime Academy of Nigeria, Oron, or Federal School of Oceanography in Lagos. We also have Chaki Maritime. We have different maritime schools. So you apply for those schools for your pre-C, which is either you are doing a national diploma or you are doing a first degree in marine operation. After that, you need to go back to C to gain experience, which is the 18-month C time. That's where the trainee that I mentioned earlier comes into play. So you serve as a trainee on board the ship to gain all the necessary skills and experience. During that period, you will be exposed to navigation, cargo operations, you will be exposed to weather routine, you will learn all the operations that have been taking place on board the ship. After all, you will return back to school and sit for the exam that we say certificate of competency. When you passed your examination, is in 2 phases. There's oral and written exams, and then you will need to do some safety courses also that will complement those certifications. You have to be medically fit. Thereafter, you go back on board the ship as third officer. Then you'll be promoted to second officer. After you have the necessary C experience, you can go back and sit for either your achievement certificate of competency or second engineer certificate of competency for engineers. Once you sit for those exams, it's also in 2 phases, oral and written, and you pass that exams, you return back to C and you'll be promoted to either chief officer or second engineer. So after you also have a necessary C experience, about 12 to 18 months, you return back to the school again to also sit for another certificate of competency. For the deck, it's called the Master Class 1 or the Master Mariner, and for the engineer, it's called the Chief Engineer Certificate of Competency, which is crucial. So once you have those certificate of competency and then the company have available vacancy, you'll either be promoted to a captain or as a chief engineer, which you have a lot of responsibility of taking charge of the vessel. So for the catering services department, their hotel servicing department, they have catering courses that they take that give them all the necessary skills and prerequisites to become messman, second cook, and chief cook. That is for shipboard officers. So let's quickly look at the ports themselves. In ports, is more of management. So if you are applying to those schools, there are different courses: maritime management, maritime business studies. So you can study it, and when you graduate, you can work in port as a port administrator, you can work as an agent, you can work as a port captain, with experience, which is very important. Now, let's also look at another phase. There are naval architects, people that design those ships. You can also study naval architecture and be involved in the designing of ships, which is important. There are people also that study fisheries and aquatic. So they deal with whatever is in the subsea. We also have people that study subsea.
These are courses that you say, how person go to study fishery.
Exactly.
You know, people, that's the reason this orientation is very important.
So we need people. You look at the marine and pre-con, the sector is huge. You are not only talking about shipping and seafaring, you are also talking about harnessing into the potentials of marine and blue economy. We have to look into the wind power system, which is important. You also have to look at into aspect of fisheries, which is important.
Fisheries?
Yes. You also have to look at into aspect of inland waterways. So the potential is there. So there are a lot of courses. So for me as an advocate for change when it comes to women development, I encourage a lot of women when it comes to STEM education. That is why in my organization, my charity organization, I support STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, because I believe that's a basic foundation for them to start.
Yeah, so this career is strictly for, okay, no, you talk
it's
about
not strictly for start. Yes, no, it's not.
Okay.
You as an art student, you can go into marine and blue economy. You can be a port manager. You can be.
But you can't work in the ship.
Some ships have what they call administrative officers in some ships and some company by company basis. So if you want to work on the ship as a deck officer, those are the requirements I mentioned, or as an engineering officer. If you want to work in ports, then if you look at the port is huge. There are people who drive the cranes, there are people who operate the RTGs. You will also need most of them. When you look at also the ports, there are warehousing supervisors, warehousing managers. So there you can study logistics and supply chain. So the potential is
almost every discipline.
Every discipline is there. So it's huge.
A lot of people don't know this.
Yeah, so it's very important.
Some people even think you need to go school abroad before you can even work in the maritime system.
Not at all.
Oh, all right, that's quite interesting. Our time is almost up, but then can we look at one other aspect? We've talked about government support, but do you think government support is enough? Look at what we're talking about now. All right, there needs to be encouragement. If not that you're saying this now, a lot of people will not know that with any discipline. I even read about fishery and aquatic adults. You know, back then in school, when you hear someone studying fishery, say, how will somebody come and study fishery in school? But we're getting to know now that this is a highly placed discipline as it has to do with the blue economy. So now, what do you think the government needs to do more? Number one, to encourage people who are already in the system and people who want to come into the system. What do you think the government needs to do? Because if we're talking about the government, like the APC just had their convention yesterday, and people came from all local government delegates from here and there. A lot of people are rushing into politics, including, I'm just telling one of my colleagues that I saw some very young boys, you know, people that I know. People are abandoning everything to go into politics when there are other opportunities. What do you think the society and the government can do to make people have this foreknowledge that you must not be dependent on politics and maybe the civil service job alone?
Okay, that's an important question. If you look at the Nigerian demography, more than 70% of Nigerian population is below the age of 30. So that's a huge blessing. And if we are able to leverage on this population, I strongly believe that we are going to be top. We are already giant of Africa, so we are going to be the giant of the world now. So that's very important. I strongly believe also the government alone cannot do it all. You know, the private sector have a role to play, the non-governmental organizations, the CSO, each and every one of us have a role to play when it comes to the society today. When it comes to the marine and blue economy, like you mentioned, you have a number of people that are going to politics. I believe when you are choosing your career, it's about choice, and some people have looked at it that the politics is where they also want to play and their voice will be heard. Recently, we have also been an advocate for youth to actively participate in politics, so that these youths that are actively participating in politics, they can be able to bring changes when it comes to also the marine and blue economy we are talking today. So I will continue to encourage youth to participate in politics so that their voice will be heard. I will continue to encourage our youth to be involved when it comes to our decision making, both at the local and grassroots level, which is important. Because if you don't have these youth that are participating in politics today, how can you be able to bring in changes tomorrow? So in my opinion, I will encourage more youth to go into politics. That is one. Then I will also encourage our youth also to harness into the potential of marine and blue economy. How do? We need to raise awareness. Now we are raising awareness through the media houses. Seminars, I've seen a lot of open days, career days have been held. The government have done a lot. I'll take you back. There's a program they are doing about the Nigerian Seafarers Development Program, where they recruit young seafarers, orient them and take them abroad. And that's why we have seen a surge in the number of seafarers today, even though we need more seafarers, which is important. Now, we need to create awareness. It's not about training the seafarers alone. We need to provide them with sea time, which has been a challenge. Because if you just study in the university or in the academy without all the necessary sea experience, it means that you cannot be able to sit for your certificate of competency examination, and you cannot be able to work as an officer on board a ship. So the government alone cannot do that. So the private sectors that have ships, they can be able to support these young graduates from the academy to provide them with a sea service so that they can be able to progress through their careers. If you look at some countries today like the Philippines, the India, they are the major suppliers of seafarers in the world. And what happened? They still remit back most of this money to develop their countries. So I strongly believe that with this national policy of marine and blue economy that has been approved by the National Executive Council, Nigeria in the future will definitely be a major supplier of seafarers with the right policies in place, which I believe is doable and will do it, because we have the government that have shown the political will. And I strongly believe that we are going to get there. Another aspect is to encourage female participation when it comes to shipping. The number of women participation in shipping is very, very low. So we need to raise awareness, we need to increase women participation when it comes to shipping. And that participation is very important. The foundation for female participation in shipping is STEM education at the primary level. The most important thing, you need to start them young. If you also look at the STEM participation today, the number of females in STEM participation is very low. So awareness is very important. The government alone cannot create that awareness, but the religious leaders, traditional leaders, non-governmental organizations, and all of us have a significant role to play to raise awareness about the number of low participation of females when it comes to STEM. The most important aspect is also to be able to address the challenges of out-of-school children, to be able to bring back these out-of-school children back to classrooms so that they can be able to have hope of also growing to become seafarers tomorrow. So I've seen a lot of significant progress have been made in the country. The government, the non-governmental organization have been raising awareness. They have a lot of campaigns going back to bring back children back to the classroom, which is important because that is the foundation. You know, once the foundation is solid, that's it. So it's very, very important and is very, very crucial. And to the seafarers themselves and the aspiring seafarers, I strongly believe that discipline is very important. You must be focused. You must know what you want in life. So when you are focused, when you know what you want, you know the world will celebrate you. That's very important. So you have to be focused. You have to be dedicated in your duties. You have to learn the skills as much as you can so that when you are a skilled seafarer, you will not lack jobs. People will look for you. So competency is very important, discipline is very important, and if you also possess the right attitude, because sometimes you might possess all the necessary competencies, you might possess all the necessary skills, but if you lack the right attitude to work, it's another challenge. So that's my advice for the young people who want to go into the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy. They should be steadfast, they should be disciplined, they should be focused. Nigerians have always been making names, and I strongly believe that we'll get there. If you go to any sector today, Nigerians are doing remarkably well. If you go to Forbes today, you go to Guinness Book of Records, Nigerians are always on top of the chart. So if Nigerians can do it, your background does not matter, you can also be able to do it.
I think I like that part. Your background does not matter. So if you can write JAMB from that your community, from that your village, because I've seen a lot of people ask me questions. What course do I put in? What do I apply for? What should be my second choice and all of that, university, where to go to? This is an opportunity, all right? As you're thinking of your career path, this is an opportunity. Finally, in the next 10 years, looking at this blueprint now, the deal between Nigeria and UK, the bid and the intention to modernize our ports so that we can have positive impact, all right, as it has to do with our economy. In the next 10 to 15, 20 years, what do you think of the blue economy, especially our port system in Nigeria? What's your projection? Where do you think we can be looking at what we have on ground?
Okay, so in the next 10 to 15 years, I strongly believe that with this commitment that we are having now and all the reforms, all the deals that we have signed, Nigeria will be a global maritime hub.
Wow.
And I see us moving from category C of IMO to category B, which are countries with the largest interest in shipping. And fleet. I see us expanding our fleet. I see Nigeria having a fleet of its own that is going to compete globally because we have the right political will. Now we have the national policy of marine and blue economy, the 10 years roadmap. So if you have a roadmap, you can be able to achieve whatever you want to achieve with the right people in place, which is important. So I strongly believe that in the next 10 to 15 years, we are going to be a global maritime hub.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, this is the size of the conversation for this morning. I want to say a very big thank you to you for joining us on Global Morning Weekend today. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much for having me.
And congratulations to you for the dedication. Congratulations in advance for the dedication of your baby tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
All right, everyone. This is the size of the conversation for the Global Morning today. More conversations still coming on your way. Stay with us. After this break, we'll return again, and it's going to be another wonderful moment.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
In In an age of breaking news, you need a trusted source that prioritizes accurate, factual, and unbiased reporting. This is AM News, and I am Ubong Usoro.
On global television, our news is rooted in verified and authoritative storytelling that keeps you educated, informed, and enlightened on all the issues that matter to you. I am Sadia Yakubu. This is Midday News.
You can trust a multi-platform news broadcast, real-time and fast-check stories for all the big local and foreign headlines round the clock. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. This is News Express.
Our array of anchors delivers the news to our teeming viewers, breaking it down with context and perspective. This is News Cycle on Global Television. I am Anieti Patrick.
And the flagship news is your hub for the day's most engaging stories. This is News Prime, and I am Jumai Manson.
Did you miss any of our news rounds? No worries. Catch up at 10 p.m. and midnight, 7 days of the week. I am Mukhtar Kasim.
Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. We're active across all social media platforms at Global TV NG.
Global TV News, accurate and unbiased. I'm Uyi Agmofwebe. Our language, our vibrant culture and colorful tradition, our industrious and hospitable people. This is Nigeria, a nation that prides itself in abundant human and natural resources. From east to west, north to south, we sparkle, we shine, we have a common bond. Fellow Nigerians, let's do away with ethnic, religious and regional sentiments that divide us as a people. God has blessed us and empowered us to find strength in diversity. Let's make our faith and way of worship our source of unity as we build a nation that stays united. Nigeria, together today, together always. This is a public announcement brought to you by Global Television. Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
A new Imo is on the rise. In the beating heart of Owerri, business never sleeps. From sunrise to sundown, the wheels keep turning. And behind the scenes, vision meets action. Governor Hope Uzodinma's leadership has left the pages of manifestos to become real actions and achievements. Transformations that piece by piece feels like a miracle. But progress needs peace to thrive. And in Imo, we are not leaving it to chance. From land to sky to river deep, guardians are always watching, protecting dreams and opportunities. If you go to the quiet shore of Orashi Power, you will see the awakening of a hydropower roaring to electrify and energize a blossoming economy. The change is visible. The heartland of the East is under construction as new roads are threading together once forgotten places. Industry is humming again and communities are alive. At the center of it all, a digital revolution is rising. A new ministry with a new mission. Not just cables and codes, but capacity. 500,000 young minds trained each year to build a digital future. And as Orashi Power goes up, so does Imo, lifting with it the hopes of a hard-working people. A new Imo is on the rise.
In an age of breaking news, you need a trusted source that prioritizes accurate, factual, and unbiased reporting. This is AM News, and I am Ubong Usoro.
On Global Television, our news is rooted in verified and authoritative storytelling that keeps you educated, informed, and enlightened on all the issues that matter to you. I am Sadia Yakubu. This is Midday News.
You can trust a multi-platform news broadcast real-time and fast-check stories for all the big local and foreign headlines round the clock. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. This is News Express.
Our array of anchors delivers the news to our teeming viewers, breaking it down with context and perspective. This is News Cycle on Global Television. I am Anieti Patrick.
And the flagship news is your hub for the day's most engaging stories. This is News Prime, and I am Jumai Manson.
Did you miss any of our news rounds? No worries. Catch up at 10 p.m. and midnight, 7 days of the week. I am Mukhtar Kasim.
Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. We're active across all social media platforms at Global TV NG.
Global TV News, accurate and unbiased. I'm Uyi Agmofwebe.
Welcome back. It is the Global Morning Weekend. Yes, I'm going to just look at the APC convention, which is already done and dusted. But then, do you know that PDP convention is also coming? But for the APC convention, so far so good. A lot of people, a lot of reactions are coming from the media space and from individuals, and especially from the president's reaction. Let me get to Ubong Usoro, who is still with us on the program this morning. Usoro, one thing for me is the president. How do you hear the president talk about opposition? Every other person have been talking, but yesterday he was open. He spoke and he was able to point to one or two things. All right, as it has to do with the roadmap, the readiness of the All Progressive Congress. As it is right now, all right, looking at this convention, the convention has happened. Before now, we talked about the possibility of implosion, whether you like it or not. Some persons might not have a say. They may not be happy, but they may not have a say in the party as it is right now. You know how this politics of a thing works. Come 2027, remember PDP is also going to have their own convention too. Come 2027, with what we are seeing right now, do you see the possibility of everyone returning and performing fantastically well? Because there was a statement you made. You said even if there is going to be implosion in the All Progressive Congress, it might be after the second tenure probably of the now president. So what do you think of this whole scenario?
I think that first of all, you are right when you say the president rarely, responds to trolls or what the opposition are saying. As a person, he's not in this character. We've even seen people who have said things personally against him. One of the example will be a man called Nazri Rufai, former Kaduna State governor, who has spoken directly against President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Only people that will respond, maybe by your nanuka, sometimes by yourself will not even respond. So that is the kind of president we have, and I think that has been the kind of president we've had, exception of since 1999. The only president that has not been in that lane will be Obasanjo, 1999 to 2007. Every other president that we've had, Umar Musa Yar'Adua, doesn't respond to trolls. Goodluck Jonathan, not even answer you. We've had Muhammadu Buhari, he doesn't have time to respond to trolls, and I think it also comes with the seriousness of knowing what you are doing as a president. When you have the lives of 250 million Nigerians dependent on the policies you make, and you really have time to do response to true. Apart from maybe if you had somebody like Donald Trump who is in his character, but but yesterday you saw him because the oppositions have been pushing the narrative and hitting up the polity as regards to the election, and he now had to sit down and say this is what it is. You are not putting your house in order. In fact, where we are today is as a result of your many years of mismanagement, and he quoted data to support it. For instance, for many years, the PDP government and the APC government of Muhammadu Buhari inclusive could not even lift Nigeria's foreign reserve to even about $60 billion. And this presidency has surpassed that. Customs have surpassed their revenue targets. JAM has done revenue targets that we never thought would be possible to be for anybody to do. So revenue, the money from subsidy, states now have 3 times of whatever they used to have. Some local governments are getting over $1 billion. That's 100 million in 10 places every month as monthly allocation from the Federal Account Allocation Committee, FAC. Not even talking about internally generated revenue, where local government like Lagos Island, Obiokpo local government, and AMAC, those are the 3 local government that have the highest internally generated revenue in Nigeria. Are making excess of over $1 billion up to monthly. So if a local government is making 200 billion for just context, that is 100 million naira in 20 places. What are they using it for? That can tap 1 or 2 streets. Are they doing it? What projects are they doing? So I think the president is also, like he has said subsequently, there was a time he said Nigerians, hold your governors accountable. He's also telling them that yes, there's what we can do, but there's what you would have done. There's what you would have done which you did not do as a position when you had the power, and there's also what you can do as a citizen, which is holding them responsible. And I think forums like this gives Nigerians opportunity to listen to the president, because the crowd that the APC had 8,000 accredited delegates that were supposed to come in for the convention, but I was sure that the crowd was at Eagles Way was upwards of maybe 15,000 or thereabouts, maybe times 2. So the president needed to speak to people, and the people listened. When the president was speaking, there was a lot of quiet, people wanting to listen, to hear his voice. Even when he was on the screens, a lot of the people still placed their eyes, trying to just have a glimpse of him where he was standing at the podium to speak. So people listened, Nigerians heard him. So he was speaking to his party members, he was speaking to his people, saying, these are the achievements of our administration. We have achievements. Ria is an example, poster boy of the organization. He said, Nelfon is a poster of what we've done. NITST is a poster of what we've done with the extractive industry. Which other cement, that's a small, medium scale enterprises of Nigeria. It's also a poster of what we've done. So he brought in these people to speak to his party members, to give, I think for me it was like a revalidation exercise for the APC members, because for those who never knew what are we doing, the convention offered them a platform to say this is what we are doing. And also you could see people that before now were anti-APC, somebody like anti-political system in Nigeria, someone like Tenny the Entertainer. There was a time she was called up to be given an award during Buhari's tenure. She rejected the award, a national honor. She rejected, but this is the same Tenny now that we are seeing performing for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and people ask, what changed? For her, what changed was that the vision that she's seen. Something like Sheyi Law, which before now was a political, is soundly standing with the president, saying he was there moderating the event yesterday, right? We saw a lot of Nigerians, Rara for instance, who is doing songs across the north for president. There was a song he did, he said, Asiwaju for and the song, it's a massive song, came in, you could see the energy, even when he was singing in Hausa, a lot of persons interacted and connected. So across various fields, you could see Obi Kubana was there yesterday, Kubana Chief Priest, these are businessmen. So from across all sectors, from entertainment to business to private industry, people are aligning with the president, and I think he wanted just to showcase that, to members of his party, that we are not alone, we have compatriots who believe in our dreams, who believe in our vision.
Now, for the common man, I'll bring it back to the common man's level, who was watching the president's speech. With what kind of a lens would they perceive? Is that a statement that would have given them hope, or is it more of rhetorics that we've heard from politicians?
Right, I think hope, because for instance, one of the critical things the president addressed was the issue of power. Right, a lot of Nigerians have been complaining that we are having the power seems to be going down, and the Minister of Power have talked about shortage of gas as a result of the issues that we have with our extractive industries at the moment, and the issue we have nationally and internationally with Iran. And the president gave assurance yesterday. So for me, that was a message of hope, saying we are working tirelessly to make sure that we improve our power rations in the country. He spoke to the Nigerian people. He spoke to the Nigerian people that prosperity is coming. He spoke to the Nigerian people that unity in diversity is what we need to move the country. He spoke for upwards of 3 minutes on unity, why we should be united, how he has friends across board, how he has interacted and done business all across Nigeria, and he sees value, he sees vision in the people of Nigeria. So for me, it was a message of unity, of hope, of camaraderie, saying, if you've done something, we will believe in you. match change, a winning team. So, and that sends a great message, because for the people he's worked with at the national, at the APC, as a national working committee, national executive council members of the party, the neck of the party, returning them shows approval, shows we believe and we support the work you've done, and I think we can still work with you going forward. So for me, I think that's a great one.
All right. As it is right now, the president's speech, I'm particular about the speech directed to opposition. Some persons are saying the visit of Peter Obi, all right, Makinde and the rest to Kwankwaso, to Kano to see Kwankwaso, is perceived to be probably a form of a gang up, all right, maybe coming together a coalition or something, more coalition. Does the statement of President Tinubu yesterday undermine the capacity or the place of opposition as far as 2027 is concerned? Because you hardly hear him speak. I must keep saying that, as it has to do with opposition or responding to whatever oppositions are saying.
Not necessarily. Opposition is opposition. There's always been opposition, and there will always be opposition. Even during the military era in 1994, 95, when the military strongman, call him Abacha, held sway to power, there was opposition. Ledako, for instance, was opposition. We had a coalition of Nigerian professionals. It was opposition led by people like Professor Patutomi, Nadoko, led by people like Bola Ahmed Tinubu. There were lots of opposition. In fact, the students' funds were opposing, NANS were opposing, people like Showore, the rest of them were opposing. The Nigerian Union of Workers, NLC, opposed, right? So the opposition will always be there. We can never get to a place. If Nigerians could have opposed the military, is it civilians that will not oppose? So I don't believe that statement that even the president is a product of massive opposition. He knows over the years opposition politics, and he's played it wonderfully well over the years, right? So yes, I think it's also good. For me, I love it that if Kwankwaso could have an alliance with Obi, Peter Obi, Atiku Abubakar, Najib El-Rufai, Rauf Aregbesola, it will be good for our politics, because it will further deepen conversations across politics. Our politicians will not take us for granted, because even if the president wins the second term, he will know that he worked to win it. But when it's a stroll in the park, there's this adage that says sometimes the value you give to something depends on the dollar cost of it. It's a US proverb. So if I sell a pin for you for $10,000 and $10,000, I sell the same pin for $1, you will value that pin the day you buy it for $10,000 than the time I sold it for you for $1 because of the cost, right? So if opposition can put up a united front and they win the election, they will value the election, because they know what it cost them. And if also Bola Ahmed Tinubu can walk through a difficult opposition and win the election, he will also value the victory given to him by Nigerians. So in whatever ways it comes out, Nigerians are the greatest beneficiary of this.
So now you talked about opposition, and the PDP is one of the opposition parties, but it's a house that seems to be in disarray. We've just seen that the Turaki faction is heading to the Supreme Court. So with APC's convention now done and dusted, and they seem to be airtight, ready for the election, what lessons are there for the PDP in terms of how they organize their own house and how they can be a formidable opposition ahead of 2027?
Right, I think with the PDP, what we saw that has led to the collapse of the PDP over years was when we had a convention still at Eagle Square. We had 5 members of the PDP, led by 5 governors of the PDP, led by Bukola Saraki, then a storm out of Eagle Square. That was subsequently what led, because those governors said there was a gentleman agreement between Goodluck Jonathan that he wasn't going to seek for second term, complete the tenure of Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, do one term yourself, and that would be it. So when they felt that that was not going to be, put into practice, they stormed out of the Eco Square, and they had a new PDP at the time. Later went into alliance with Atiku Abubakar, and from there metamorphosed into the APC, because they brought their states. The APC brought the few states. They had the CPC brought the 2 states. They had the ANPP also brought some of the, and they managed to become the APC. I think it seems the APC has learned from it. But if they've learned from it, that question should be left till after Bola meeting. But like I said, President Tinubu is a very formidable politician, and he has a lot of likes within the political space across party. But there's no political party today, at least any of the established political party, that Tinubu does not have his friend or people that have been friends with him. Labour Party, Nadadi Usman, Senator Darlington Mokacha are people who have relationship with him. He's the SDP. You go to the PDP, of course you know PDP. Even the hunchman of the PDP, talk about the FCT minister, works in the cabinet of.
We've even seen governors who are governors of the opposition party, and they've endorsed the president for 2027.
I had an interview here with APGA's chairman, APGA national chairman, Barrister Sly Ezekowa. He came on my program the other day, and he said on this station that APGA has taken a decision to support Tinubu in 2027. That APGA will not, be bringing out a presidential candidate in 2027. So it speaks for you. Right?
It's another way to stay relevant as a political party under this administration, I think. That is to say, we don't have a candidate, we are supporting the president. Is it a sign that the president has done well, or you feel maybe the party wants to stay relevant? Because if you want to talk about APGA in the whole of Nigeria, I think it's in Anambra State that they are prominent, and of course they've won the seat, the governorship seat already. So fielding somebody in the presidential election might not be too relevant. Don't you think that could even contribute to them supporting? Because if you don't support, all right, you might lose 1 or 2 benefits. That's one. And even if you bring out a candidate, your candidate may not even have so much vote like one political party that I won't call the name now.
Right. Yes, they also have the right to choose who to support. They can say we support this, we support that. It's within their purview. But for a political party like APGA, a political party that has won 1 state in Nigeria is not a small political party. Because states are sub-nationals. States can basically exist on their own, right? There are states that even without the IGR coming in, they can pay salaries, and so states are a prominent unit of our federating system. So to win, and APGA has consistently won elections in the southeast, not just Anambra. They've won senatorial elections across different states, and they've also won governorship consistently. Peter Obi was governor, Willie Obiano was governor under APGA, and the governor Charles Soludo is also governor under APGA. So I think it's the alignment of the president. You have to keep it.
It's wisdom, even.
Right, to be able to convince these parties, because the ADC would have convinced them, right? Any other person would have convinced them. So it still was.
People have said it's the power of. Don't you think it's the power of incumbency the president has used? Is it his own political attraction?
Without presidents who were not able to use the power of incumbency, when the power of incumbency being in power and controlling the resources of the state.
Yes.
Right. There is not, people are there. We've seen sitting governors lose elections. Were they not able to use the power of incumbency? We've seen a sitting president lose elections, right? So it's sometimes it's not about even promising them. There are people that have worked for Tinubu, and I've had an interview with somebody who told me that he has spent 100 million of his personal money supporting Renewed Hope agenda, and even when he has access to the president and he's met the president. I think he said the last one he met him 2 times privately. Even when he meets him privately, he doesn't speak about it. He's not even looking for contract. It's just his support to the president because he loves what he's doing. And so there are persons like that. They are patriots. Even in the US, in other places, there are people that just see a cause and we say we'll support and we'll put our money to it. So I feel that's what the APC is trying to show Nigerians, that they have support across board. And for me, with the kind of turnover we saw from all states, Gombe, Kano, Kaduna, there wasn't a state in Nigeria that was not represented adequately at the convention ground, at Eagle Square. It shows the APC is leading, and as of now, the APC is leading in mobilization. We'll wait for other conventions before we can balance. But for now, we can only talk from the one we have, what we've seen. In a few hours from now, we'll have the PDP.
Yes, that's the question I want to ask. Are you longing for that convention?
Longing.
See the way you echoed it. Are you longing? Okay, you're not optimistic about it.
No, optimistic is maybe could be better, because longing is as if right. So
looking forward to it. But what about that of the APC? You long for it?
Not really. Yeah, these are constitutional things that they must do. So they have to fulfill it, so that they can stand in election. I feel for the PDP, I feel there will be issues with this convention.
Okay, because I actually wanted to ask what are your expectations.
There will be issues because the Turaki faction is not in support, and I feel the Nyesom Wike faction, even when they got the Supreme Court victory, would have waited and done a more consultations and carried the Turaki faction along. They have not done that. So all of the persons that will emerge from the consultation will be persons loyal to the Wike faction, and you can't have peace in that kind of progress. So the other people will feel sidelined, and litigations will naturally follow.
But I thought they said there was going to be a call for peace or something.
They've had causes for reconciliation, but now the Wike faction is negotiating from a position of strength. And when you negotiate, because they know that they have everything now. They have it's in their favor, so they can negotiate and say, okay, if you don't want to go, so they only give you what they want to give you. And it's a very bad place to be in when you are negotiating. When you negotiate from a place of disadvantage, please help me. Please.
You can only be given what it is you see.
Yes, but when you negotiate from a place of this is what I bring, if you don't give, this is what you lose. The other party seems to listen more to you.
All right. Well, we need to release Ubom at this point because he's done so much. Ubom Usoro was on ground yesterday for Global Television throughout until the early hours of this morning, and he's been able to bring us analysis and views from different segments of that convention. All right, thank you very much, Ubom Usoro, because this is in depth. Anyone that was not in that convention yesterday, at least the person will be feeling like, with this explanation and analysis, I think we can see the roadmap. We can see what is the outcome of the convention and all of that. Well, we are expecting more in our news bulletins from the reports that we will be getting. For those of you who probably missed this discussion, you can also revisit it on our social media platform. But fresh reports will still be coming on your way with visuals to back them up in our various news bulletins. We'll take a quick break now. After this break, we'll return for the concluding part of Global Morning Weekend this beautiful Saturday.
Our language, our vibrant culture and colorful tradition, our industrious and hospitable people. This is Nigeria, a nation that prides itself in abundant human and natural resources. From east to west, north to south, we sparkle, we shine, we have a common bond. Fellow Nigerians, let's do away with ethnic, religious and regional sentiments that divide us as a people. God has blessed us and empowered us to find strength in diversity. Let's make our faith and way of worship our source of unity as we build a nation that stays united. Nigeria, together today, together always. This is a public announcement brought to you by Global Television.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
Well, this is the size of Global Morning today, and of course the view of our guest is entirely theirs. And of course, before we finally close for today, we'll bring you aerobics, which is going to mark the end of Global Morning weekend. My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo, and my colleague Mukhtar